Stockpile Hobbies.
Alright, welcome back to Stockpile Hobbies. Today we're going to be doing some more slot car track prep for the upcoming track we're going to build. I'm going to try and get a demo track running by the end of this video here. First thing I've done is I've pulled out some of the newer track pieces I bought. They are used, but I've gone through and got them pretty well and shiny again on the rails here. What I did was I saw a video where they were using a 320 grit sanding sponge block here and just going over the track nicely. You can tape this off with like painter's tape if you're worried about ruining any of the paint on the tracks. I went so light and it came right off and it didn't affect the paint at all. So that's good news. And I've done a straight piece here already, and this piece looks pretty bad. I just found this in the pile. So let's see how the sandpaper works on this corroded piece here. Wow, what a difference. I'm going to get a wet rag here and wipe it off, and we'll take another look at it. You saw the first rag there, it was pretty dirty. Believe it or not, this is the same piece of track I just showed you, and it looks almost brand new. That is amazing. So I'm going to go through, start cleaning up a bunch of the track here, and I'm going to set up a racetrack, and we're going to try it out. See all the cars?
Yeah.
Clean all this track up. So now we're going to try and set it up.
We're making a new track?
Yeah.
Like we're going to make a big track right there.
We're going to use the shelving right there behind you. Yep, I'm going to set it up there.
Okay.
So we're going to do that now.
Rah, rah, rah.
Alright, here's the quick track I came up with. So I had to do some fabrication here, and I got a controller I had with some of the stuff rewired back together. And I'm using the wall wart because I don't have the pigtail still that I ordered from eBay, so we're still waiting for those. I'll be able to use my adjustable laptop power supply in the future. But I just ran the car once. It went all the way around the track with no problems. I didn't have to push it or anything. I'm hitting it now. That's pretty cool. Let's get Enzo down here and let him check it out. So
right.
Enzo has the yellow Lamborghini. Oh, almost had a full lap. So I have two types of track here. It turns out they're different. As you can see, I have a Tyco, and I believe it's a Marchon. Now, they don't make any adapters for this, so I'm going to try and make an adapter here. I thought about trying to modify the ends and getting the butt up, but I think the best way to do this is because of how similar everything lines up exactly almost. I'm going to cut these both right down the middle, and then I'm going to reconnect them using some Dean's connectors here. So these are Dean's connectors. They're tension held together. I use these on my RC trucks, my battery packs. What I figure is once I get the tracks cut and lined up perfectly, instead of using super glue and soldering a wire to each side, I would solder a wire to each side of the Dean's connector and then use the Dean's connectors to actually hold the track together. Now, whether I have room to do that or not is another question here. We'll have to figure that out. So we're going to get these marked down the middle. I'm going to take my Dremel, cut them in half, and then we'll look at our options for making an adapter piece. So looking at the Tyco piece here, going right across the center, you see we have a 6-inch piece of track here, and right where the injection molding push rod hits it, dead center, 3 inches. So that's where we're going to score the Tyco one. And again, with the other piece here, 6 inches again, we're going to mark it at 3 inches and score it down the middle as well. Alright, so I got my cutting wheel and my Dremel, got my safety glasses here, and let's begin. There we go. Don't worry about if it's a rough cut, because we're going to try and file this as flat as can be and even, so that when we butt it up to the other piece, it'll be nice and clean and smooth. So now we're just going to do the same thing with the other piece here. Okay, so here's our Tyco piece, here's our Marchon piece, and we're going to clean up all the cutting edge there, get all this extra flash and melt the plastic off. I'll put a sanding wheel on the Dremel there, we'll get it nice and flat and see how well these butt up. We'll try and clean up the channel here too for the slot for the car as well, get that going again. And then we'll figure out how underneath we're going to do that with the Dean's connector. We'll find a way to do it. I might have to flatten out some of these here for the Dean's connector and then tack them in. We'll see. So it looks like everything came out pretty good. I'm just going to take a small flathead screwdriver now and make sure our slots are good and there's nothing in the way to catch the pins on. That's working really good. Wow. That looks great. So don't be afraid to try these things at home, making your own parts. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to see what, just taking a chance on it and see what happens. You don't know unless you try. And of course, this being the first round, maybe I'll come up with a better way to do it after this. But, the prototype will lead to other things and hopefully inspire you to do the same thing with your track pieces. That one looks really bad right here, the slot. Let's see what we can do with it. So just by turning the screwdriver a little bit, I can force the plastic open, create a little more of a gap. It looks a lot better now, right there. And hopefully the pin won't catch on anything there. Alright, so for this one here, I'm really happy with the gaps at the slots and the rails. They're pretty close together. I'm not so concerned about the gaps here on the edges. But where the slots meet up, it looks pretty good. I'll give it a little more sanding to get a little bit closer. The other one has some bigger gaps where the slots are in between here and here, and it might catch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it down over here in the high point and over here and here. So it looks like where the rails are, I got some high points that's causing me some gap at the channel area. So I want to make sure that the channels are pretty close together, but don't care so much about the center parts. So I'm going back through the channels again, and I'm making sure that they're nice and wide, so that it's not going to actually catch on anything narrow there. All right, so my idea here is to flatten down the bottom of the rails on the inner rails here on each side, and then I can have a Dean's connector super glued on the bottom of each side, solder the connections to the two rails on each side, and do it for the opposite side. And then that'll be it. The Dean's connector will act as the piece that holds the track together. Alright, so I had a routing bit on my Dremel. There's different shapes and sizes. I use this one for carving pumpkins too. But you want to use the tip or the side of it to come through and just grind down the surface flat. That's all I did. And the reason I'm doing that is so that when I lay the track down with the connector there, it's not causing a hump or a bump in the track. And it's going to have a little one, but I'll take that. That's not bad. So that's what we're looking at. Something like this when I glue this. And these ends here will be on this side of the track. And that will also carry in the currents. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to expose some of the rail on this side so I can make a soldering joint. And then I'm going to do the same back over here, further back, to make another soldering joint and run that forward. Here's our track pieces, and it looks like the hard part is now behind us. I got my soldering joints all exposed, and I've ground the front parts down pretty flush to the base there. These ones probably go a little bit more. I'm going to hit these a little bit more. So I got some 16 gauge speaker wire here, and what we're going to do is connect each side of this to the side of the Dean's connector, and then run little joints to the parts that I exposed, and then go ahead and do the other side. Alright, so the next thing to do is to solder on the wires onto the Dean's connector. So the first thing I like to do is to add some flux to the Dean's connectors. Then I'm going to add some solder to it, and then I'm going to push the wire on, heat up the solder, and it should make the connection there, and then put the heat shrink over it. We're going to solder these now onto the track first, and then once I get it positioned good, I'll glue down the Dean's connector. So we'll do that now. Alright, there's our connector piece, and it would look like this. So now I'll do the other side of these Deans, and we'll be ready to connect this. Here it is. I think the second side came out a lot better. I did the wire shorter. I'll probably might cut this one here and resolder this. But as far as right now goes, is prototyping. All that's left is to connect. Here's our adapter track. And hopefully this will work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay some drill bits in the slots here. Make sure that they're aligned straight. I'll put some glue on the underside of the Dean's connector here. I got some gel super glue. I'll put that underneath, hold it there, and that will hopefully line up just right. So when I put this together, it'll stay close and close together here and work good. We'll see. Here's my drill bits. That's going to line it up. I'm going to put some tape over them so they stay in place, and then I'll turn it over and glue it. Alright, the glue is pretty much set. Here it is. It's a hot mess, but I think it's going to work. There's my connectors. It feels pretty good. I'm going to leave this on, let it dry some more. What I'll probably do is I'll cut the tape. I'll leave it in the center, and then I'll just pull my drill bits out, and then we'll test it. All right. Well, it worked. At least one side did. So here is my adapter piece. This is a Tyco piece of track into my adapter, into the Marchon piece of track, and let's see how the car does. Wow, that is awesome. That hack job worked. So I just need to make one more of these for the other side here to reconnect at the back end. So now I've gone ahead and rigged it to run the other side of the track. And it's working great also. And of course, this is all being powered by my adjustable laptop power supply. I got it set to 18 volts. So I hope this video helped you out. Please remember to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time, everyone. Have a great day.